This is part one of a video about the Honda CRX Del Sol Transtop tilter unit. This video will show how to test the unit, and the second video will cover servicing. This effectively covers off page 20-238 in the Transtop manual, which is available to official forum members on Del Sol UK. Testing the unit could be done in situ, and you could pretty quickly diag the position of the cogs while the lifter is bolted in, find out if you need to repair the unit. Removing the unit we've already covered in another video, and servicing will be covered in part 2 of this video. This is the tilter unit, and it has a threaded connector here for the lifter cable input. It has the electrical connector here and the center latch switch here. On the wiring harness you have 6 cables, 6 wires. 2 are for the center latch and the other 4 are for the microswitches inside the tilter, and these microswitches feed positional information back to the ECU while it runs its program. The larger wires at the bottom, which is the yellow, blue and the black ground wire, are for the center latch switch. All the others, so that's the red, blue, red, black and red, green, are for the microswitches inside the tilter, and these share a common ground, which is the smaller of the black 2 wires. So the microswitch wires, top red and blue wire is for the microswitch, which is activated in the down position and up position of the lifter. The red black wire is for the pause position before the slider is engaged and disengaged, and this microswitch stays on for that portion of the lifter's movement. The red green wire is for maximum height only, and now this stays on and is only deactivated or turned off or switched off when the unit hits the maximum lift. So while all the other microswitches toggle on and off, this one is the only one that works this way. It's only off at the top, and if any of these microswitches inside the unit fail, the ECU will error. You can still get the microswitches for a couple of £, and I will list the part number required in the video information section. They're still freely available. You can see on these cogs I've removed from the system visually how it works a little easier. It takes 14 revolutions of this smaller cog, which drives this larger cog, to get the tilter from the bottom to the top height, and this cog spins 14 times. It doesn't spin any more, it doesn't spin any less, always 14. The cogs are set from factory, and you're unable to strip these down and service them. The small cog makes 12 revolutions to the point where the slider is engaged and disengaged, and then it's just a further 2 revolutions to the maximum height. 3 switches here, here and here are engaged and disengaged through the rotation of the cog. Now these are activated by 3 rings on the back of the plastic cog, and the timings are always perfect. There's no negotiation. The timings, they don't come on at different points at different times. They come on when they're activated, when its cog is rotated, the larger cog is rotated. So it's reliable system and the mechanism, even if it's a tooth out, it will error. And this is why it's essential to set the cogs correctly when you replace them. If it's even a tooth out, it's no good to the ECU. It won't run this program, it will error. The margin is that fine. And you can see in terms of the microswitch here, as soon as that moves, as soon as that cog moves, that's it. And it's literally that's the margins that you're working with. There are no margins. Failure points on the tilter lifter mechanism, plastic cogs, and these have already started to crack. Still be okay for a bit, but they're not going to do much longer, probably because they just weren't greased by the owner of the tilter that I got these from. Obviously the microswitches, but you very rarely see those fail. And also stuff like the wiring or potentially a dry solder joint on the back of the microswitches, or the centre latch switch as well. I'll show you how to service the unit correctly and discuss the grease that I think you should use in the next video, but for now we'll just sort of focus on how the tilter works a little bit more. So the centre latch is easy enough to test. All you need to do is put your meter on the larger yellow and black cables in the connector, and just check for continuity as you open and close the switch. This is the switch that's just taken some bits off so you can see it, but yeah, just effectively just check for continuity between the yellow, blue and larger black on the connector. If it's not working, non-functional, then either the wiring's bad or the switch is bad. Let's take through a scenario. You aren't sure what's happening in the tilter and the reef won't start. And for me, the first thing you should always go to is the tilter. Remove the fascia panel covering the rollover bar, like we've shown you in the tilter removal video. Just unplug the connector, grab a multimeter, and as long as the tilter is in the fully down position, you should have 2 microswitches that are active and 1 that's inactive. If this isn't the case, in the down position, something is wrong with the unit. The red, blue and red, green wires should have continuity, and the red, black wire should not. If you put a tester on the unit while the tilter is down and this isn't the case, you know something is amiss inside the tilter and it's time to take a look at it. So let's take a look at what happens to the microswitches during the Transtop operation. To start off with, the red, blue wire and the red, green wire should have continuity when the tilter is at the bottom. And as soon as tilter is moved 1 tooth, the microswitch on the red, blue wire is disengaged. Remember, the red, green wire stays active until the unit reaches the top, and that's this one here. So you can ignore this one until the end. If you're still in continuity, you only really need to check that again when it's at the top to make sure it's reached the stopping point. So how does the unit know where to pause and stop? As soon as the microswitch on the red, black wire is active, it knows the smaller metal tilter clog has made 12 revolutions, which is the point the slider engages and disengages. And this microswitch then stays active until the top, until the maximum point. And the microswitch on the red, blue wire also becomes active again at the maximum point. Remember, the microswitch on the red, green wire only shuts off at the top, at the maximum. And this is the only point the red, green switch is inactive and will not have continuity. So this is how the ECU knows exactly where the tilter is at any given point on the cycle. If the cogs are broken up or even skipped by a tooth, the unit is that precise that it will error. It's important to remember that if you're winding the tilter up and down, to push the centre latch switch back behind. There's a metal bar that runs along here, and if you don't, when you're winding it down, depress the switch, it locks out, so it's inactive. And there are a few fail-safe and gotchas around the Transtop for people that don't know where they are, and it's easy if you don't know what you're doing to fall foul of one of these, and then you end up breaking the plastic clip, which is what happened to this one, because somebody wound the tilter back down and then forced the centre latch and snapped the piece of plastic, a sprung piece of plastic, because it was against this little metal strip which is there to kind of catch you out a little bit. So that's one to watch out for. Hope you enjoyed the video. Look out for the next one, which is going to be covering tilter maintenance. And subscribe, like, visit Del Sol UK, the world's #1 Transtop resource.